Hello, my friends. Welcome to New Kids with a Shop, brought to you by The Arcade Comics, Collectibles, and Games, located in balmy Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm Matt Cade.
And I'm Craig Ray, and this is DC Rebirth.
We're back, and we're also here to tell you that if you do not have a local comic book shop or store, we can be your comic shop. Please visit www.thercade.com or give us a call.
Thanks. Welcome back, everybody. This episode is called DC Rebirth. We are joined today by Shayne Pace.
Hey, everybody.
And Rick Shupe. Again, fan favorite Rick Shupe is back talking DC books.
By popular demand.
Rick.
Hey, everybody.
So this was an exciting week in DC, which is kind of why we put this episode together. All of the James Gunn announcements for all the properties getting either movies or television shows where, we have a rough idea. We're going to go through each one of those properties, the movies, the television shows, talk about what we know, talk about what we don't know, talk about possible character appearances and things like that based purely upon, the brief synopses that we have received, trying to figure out who's going to be in there, who's in, who's out, just talk about them in general. I think if you've listened to us before, you can see that we're fairly skewed towards the DC side of things, so this is kind of an exciting week, which is why we decided to do this. We all love DC, and we're looking forward to chatting through this. I think we're going to start, though, and if you can help me out and help fill out in the gaps, Rick, because you are a wunderkind at this stuff. As far as the early days of DC, I believe it started in 1934, as National Comics Publications, and that was created, his name was Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson, I believe. And then in 61, I'm sorry, no, because you'd said something earlier, Rick. Like there's in the 40s, something had happened as far as the other properties, like All Star and all of that. What was that you were saying before?
Well, I wasn't there. My uncle was a little older than me and was a comic fan, and he told me some things, and I made some little notes from what he had told me. I don't know how accurate they are, but his memory was usually pretty good. He said National Allied Newspaper Syndicate and National Allied Publications Incorporated in 1934 became a publishing powerhouse.
Yep.
And they printed the very first original comic book that wasn't using reprinted newspaper strips, which is what had been going on prior to that time.
Sure, the syndicated stuff, yeah.
Which was, New Fun, the big comic magazine number
New
one?
Fun was the one, yeah. And later they had More Fun comics.
Yes.
They eventually, in 1937, joined with Detective Comics.
New Fun, the sequel. More fun.
More Fun. And More Fun had superheroes in it.
Some great heroes started there.
But they joined in 1937 with Detective Comics Incorporated, and that became National Periodical Publications Incorporated, which is what I grew up with.
That was in 61, when that actually officially happened in 61.
Well, my uncle wasn't sure exactly when that all happened, but I'm thinking maybe they joined together a little earlier than what...
There were all the different mergings. I think it didn't become officially National Periodical Publications until 61 is what that was. So all those mergers did occur before that point, but that was when they all came under the same umbrella as National Periodical.
And in the middle there, in 1946, he told me that they were the ones that absorbed Mad Magazine and EC Comics from Max Gaines.
Yeah.
Because he got put off by all the censorship of the horror titles, and he dropped out and went just back to publishing general, humor magazines and things of that nature. And then Jack Leibowitz had a comic company called All American, and on 46, the National Allied and Detective absorbed him along with Max Gaines' books. So that was, what led down the road to that DC event in 1961 you mentioned.
Fun fact, their first actual superhero character was Dr. Occult, created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster in December 35.
And in 1937, those two, along with Michael Wheeler Nicholson, created Slam Bradley a year before Superman.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Slam Bradley, who can still be seen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just on a little side note, I don't know if anyone looks at comics, the logos and the cover dress, but when I was a kid, they always had a bullet. My uncle called it. It was 2 concentric circles, and in the outer rim they had Superman in red letters, but underneath it they had black letters, National Comics, and then in the middle of the bullet, another circle would have DC on it. So we called it National because National Comics was the word, and Superman DC was like extra on the bullet. But by 77, if I remember right, it was the Ra's al Ghul, Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams issues.
Which was the first year officially as DC.
Right, and so the whole thing became a DC.
And my favorite Batman covers, too.
Neil Adams.
We all grew up with the Shield, the DC Shield,
Yep.
which is still my favorite.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So, which we already kind of touched on it. It led up to, in 77, it becoming actual DC Comics after Detective Comics being pretty much the biggest thing that...
And by that time, they had absorbed Quality, Fawcett, Charlton. So
Ooh, the Fawcett thing's interesting.
They bunch of great characters under those.
Because Fawcett had...
Fawcett was the Shazam family.
Right. Fawcett was a big
family.
publishing house and always has been.
They were instituted in 1939.
But they got sued by DC because there was a controversy of
Captain Marvel
being too similar to Superman.
Lawsuits which Fawcett continued to win over and over until they were out of money. Because he's not too much like Superman. He is a unique character all on his own. But we're all the better for DC owning him. So
Sure. Yeah. And then not to go too far into the whole DC thing, but just for some facts out there for people that care, DC is, in fact, the second biggest publisher behind Viz Media, which, if you're familiar with that is manga. Viz Media has shot up as far as publishers. So
almost all of it here stateside.
Viz Media, yep.
Well, when we have
DC
kids
is
coming to the
2,
store,
and Marvel is 3rd.
yeah, when we have kids coming to the store, that's what the kids want now. They want manga. They don't want it's harder to steer kids towards comics.
Well, you just have to add tentacle porn into those flash books.
That's
Right?
what it's missing.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Only thing missing.
So, that's just a brief, our lame understanding of how it all began, but it's kind of fun and it's cool that, when you think about, this company being that old and it's a long, rich history, and it's always exciting, like weeks like this week where we're having a complete do-over. That's why we called it DC Rebirth. It's a play on, that era where DC books themselves, they called it Rebirth, but this is kind of a rebirth of the DCEU.
James Gunn is just, yes, it's a rebirth of all the characters we know and love.
Yeah. So Gods and Monsters was pretty much, that's what they themed, or that's what they called the
number one
release.
chapter 1 will be
today,
Gods and Monsters.
this week. Which I think what we're going to do is we'll just talk about, there's the 10 announcements. We'll just briefly go over them. And then I think just even at this table, we each have different projects that we're more excited about. And I think we'll just kind of push it in that direction and just kind of keep it free flowing, because I know I felt very strongly about a few of them. And I know the opinions here vary, but that's kind of what we're here to talk about, and it'll be exciting. So
Swamp Thing.
that's, yeah. So chronologically, it looks like what's going to happen first are the animated Creature Commandos and the Waller show. Those are planned for it just says before summer 2025.
So before January 11th, 2025.
July 11th. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
July 11th, 2025 is when they announced for Superman Legacy. So I guess we can just kind of take it. I mean, those are only the 3 things so far that they have announced that have anything even resembling a date. Superman's is July 11th, 2025, and then the other 2 shows. And when I say that, for anybody that I'm aware that Batman 2 has a date. That's October 3rd, 2025. I'm talking about the new things that were announced. We knew that Batman Part 2 was coming out.
And that's going to be an Elseworlds tale anyway.
I think it's interesting that Creature Commandos is going to be the first show to come out of this, which is basically
Definitely a choice.
Suicide Squad with monsters.
But
So
that's James Gunn's thing, right?
it just shows you the direction. This is going to go.
To this day, right? I mean, what's your favorite Guardians of the Galaxy? It's the movie.
Yeah.
They didn't make a comic book
That was
ever like that or that fun.
None of the runs ever stood up to the movie, I don't believe.
Which I'm thinking that's what they're hoping for with this arrangement.
Right.
And I'm not speaking poorly of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just
No, the Abnett run came close, but
I like the Star-Lord solo stuff, but when the Guardians of the Galaxy got together, it wasn't as interesting. So I think you're right; those films really made the difference.
Well, and to me, even now, even though I know the other runs, the Guardians are Groot, Rocket,
Oh, yeah.
Drax.
Yeah.
It's just that's what it is. And James Gunn is magical at taking characters, D-list characters, and making them A-list.
Does that make you nervous for a Superman movie?
It does, very much so, actually.
Yeah, and that's the concerns that I feel like.
Whether or not he can do the big guns as well.
Well, because Peacemaker was one of my favorite shows, but no one outside of a very few people remembered who Peacemaker was.
I
did.
Yeah, Rick did, of course.
Sure.
Speaking of the Charlton character, he was one of the Charlton characters.
He was actually kind of a favorite of mine. I mean, it was a strange time because comics had a lot more competition, between brands.
But did you watch the show?
I didn't see it.
So that's.
I saw the film Suicide Squad, but I didn't see the.
Did you like him in Suicide Squad?
I mean, it was amusing. It was interesting. I mean, it wasn't horrible.
Translation.
But I'll tell you, for me, the comic book version he was Captain America and Iron Man and the Rocketeer all in one, before some of those characters were as popular as they are today, all in one person. And so he was very heroic. He was very military. He was action-oriented. He had a jetpack. He never wasn't out of the sky, hardly ever, anyways, that I can remember. So for me, it was really hard to see the version that was in the film because it was so different.
Yeah.
And he wasn't humorous. He was
John
Captain
Cena.
America.
John Cena did a very good job with it.
That's the
straight
disadvantage
shooter.
that you have. There's a lot of people where that's their first exposure and they have no idea what you know.
With John Cena walking around in his underwear being a goofball,
Right.
Yeah.
That's very, very, very different than the
Yeah.
comic.
crushing on 80s rock. And
Yeah.
He was more likely to shoot you. He's more like the Punisher, than he was anything else as far as his
I think
attitude.
he's kind of maintained that, but it's
Was he a
not-
Ditko creation?
No.
Okay.
I think after he got shot in the Suicide Squad,
Rick
that
Giordano
that was the whole point
would have
of
had something
Peacemaker
to do
was
with
it changed his view on all that.
Maybe Pat Broderick even, who's still around and doing things for DC, but it seemed like when he was working in Charleston, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember for sure.
So, we were kind of talking about Creature Commandos. I honestly, I'm in the same boat as I was with, Peacemaker, and that is, I didn't know what the Creature Commandos were until this week.
Oh, yeah. No, I just thought they were older. They were, I think, 1980s when they were invented. I know DeMatteis, I think, co-created them. They got, Werewolf?
Well, Gunn
Frankenstein.
has already pegged this for 7 episodes, and it's gonna be a Amanda Waller joint.
I think it's got to be leading into a Justice League Dark, or somehow the
That's what we hope. Because who do we want to come out of this?
Zatanna.
Of course, we want Zatanna.
And I obviously want Deadman. And do you guys know?
I
that
think
I heard.
Oh, is it
Deadman
you?
first appearance. That's true.
I knew someone here had one.
Yeah,
I can't
it
remember.
is. Yeah.
This is actually, I wanted to bring this up also. In the short amount of time that we've actually had this podcast, I believe Deadman has been on the
top 10,
top 10 list as far as
especially from
up-and-coming
key collectors.
Cool.
I will also say, I don't know if these two things are related or not, and I don't know if you would consider this setting the world on fire, but our Monkey Prince pulls are at 4.
Oh,
Wow, quadrupled.
doubled them. They went from 2.
Well,
No, they went from
it was
1.
to.
I
Because
I thought it was 2.
No, I just got you every cover.
All right.
No. It was 2 because of Lazarus Planet, and somebody was
Yes.
being faithful for getting all of them.
Ah, I see.
And then it turned to 4, and I don't know if they're Lazarus Planet
I'm telling
faithful
you, it is sweeping the nation.
or if it's sweeping the nation.
I think I can retire next week.
Yeah,
That yacht is going to be sitting out
great
front.
character.
Here's a weird thing I think I'm remembering right. In 1980 or so, when that Creature Commandos thing started, I was around, I read a few of those. I think Pat Broderick, who was just mentioned, maybe that's why that was in my
worked
head.
on
Maybe he didn't
Creature
work on
Commandos?
Peacemaker, but he was like the original artist on Creature Commandos, if I'm remembering right.
it was. They're fun comics. They just didn't go anywhere. I don't think it lasted more than.
I mean, who doesn't want to see monsters in that environment?
Yeah.
Seeing it in this order, I guess this makes a little more sense when they announced that every live action actor that's going to be in a cartoon, they'll be the same voice actor for
across
both.
all platforms.
So if they're starting with Creature Commandos, which is going to be a cartoon TV show, that makes a little more sense leading into live action appearances of those characters. That makes more sense for me now.
Yeah.
Before I really didn't care because DC always crushes it with their cartoons especially.
Their animated stuff has been the stuff to watch.
Yes.
I mean,
So that it didn't.
Super Sons, the most recent one, was
Yeah.
the Super Sons, and it was fantastic.
I watched the Green Lantern
Yep.
CG show by Bruce Timm, which was great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it didn't bother. I didn't care if the live actor was going to be, but this makes more sense this
yeah.
way because they're going to lead into
I like that synergy.
Yes.
So Superman Legacy, I guess, it's not going to be an origin story. It's going to be Superman, supposedly. And
Right out of college.
well, he's already at the planet, but it's new, and he's
Yeah.
newly Superman. So we're not going to deal with...
The question I have on all this is how are they going to write this as is the Daily Planet still a force to be reckoned with when most newspapers today are failing?
I mean, it would have to essentially be like the Times or the Post, one of the few.
Even those, they are struggling.
They'd have to work
so
it in
hard.
the story, yeah,
Yes.
as like things are moving to digital.
It's not like it was in the 80s, the 40s. It doesn't.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
no, if they choose to go that direction, sure.
I can see Lois being very savvy about
yeah.
online journalism, but not, not Clark.
Well, and that's the thing also, as far as this, we don't know just from the timeline, has he met Lois? I mean, is this going to be one of those, sure, he's already out of Smallville and all that, but is he going to be walking into the planet and he's heard, he meets Lois Lane, or is it going to be starting from where they're already got that partnership going on? Or
No, but we know she's obviously going to be a character. I'd like to see a good Jimmy Olsen finally for the first time since Donner.
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I don't even know who I'd put in second place. I'd have to think really hard.
There was
What
a
other-
time
Tom Holland.
in the
And for God's sakes, don't fight.
I don't want to fan cast this.
Let's and start. Don't do Lex first. Just introduce him. But for God's sakes, fight
Brainiac.
Tallow or Brainiac.
really. I'm just remembering, and I hope I'm remembering correctly. I think in the 80s there was some realization by DC that the print media was weakening, and they had adventures where Superman was an on-air
Oh
reporter.
yeah.
So possibly they could include that in this new
Yeah.
Daily Planet.
Which was also interesting. Like, let me put with my alter ego, let me put myself front and center on national television.
And then have
Just
to
to
speed
really-
away
just to really one
to
up 'em.
rescue someone. Yeah.
These idiots really can't see anything at all.
Like, man. But I might be saying something. I might catch a backlash for this, but Superman does not have a rich rose gallery.
No.
No.
For the character, for the
very
seminal
weak.
character that he is, who's been
Parasite.
around so long.
It's one of my
Parasite,
favorites.
He's
got
overpowered
Zod,
and
Bizarro is an adversary
yeah,
of some sort.
Hey Kenshaw,
But-
Doomsday.
But the thing that it was basically what the things I have read is more or less it is a man with hope in a times without hope, which
I'm fine with that.
I am fine with that. I mean, as long as they create Clark and Superman front and center being a beacon,
Yeah.
that at least tells me that they understand the character and they're not trying to be.
And the character himself needs to be hopeful.
Yes.
And this will get us on Henry Cavill, who was an incredible Superman, and we are sad to see him go. But
Yes.
it was a different take, in Snyder's. He had to.
he showed more humanity. He showed more that
he
he could have
certainly
just
did.
walked away and been a normal dude, or he could have murdered us all. So
I don't know if it's popular or unpopular. I don't talk to enough people. I'm not a Snyder bro. I'm not that far, but
No, but
I was not a
Henry
offended
Cavill
by
was
his
not a
take.
mistake.
Yeah,
Henry Cavill was no mistake.
And I still think those movies have a lot of wonderful stuff in them.
But I did love, when we talked about the humanization of Superman, I thought Richard Donner was very bright in not only having adversaries for him that were superpowered, maybe in the second film especially, but in the first film, the rescuing the kitten from the tree, that showed Superman having that side where
The
he
big
cared
and the
about that.
little, everybody
Yeah.
gets a moment of Superman's time. Yeah.
So as long as that's in there, it doesn't matter really who they pick, I guess.
And I think the reality is that, like I said, and why I don't even bother with fan casting is I think Superman's going to be somebody we haven't heard of. Personally, I don't think they're going to pick
Traditionally, that's
somebody
been the way
already-
they go, and that's
Yeah.
worked out. So
And I'm ever since this is cliche, but ever since Heath Ledger, I keep my mouth shut.
yeah, I
So-
learned that was a lesson I learned hard because I was like, Heath Ledger's the Joker.
they
First time
probably
I saw
got
him,
this. They probably got this.
first time I saw him and heard him, I was like, okay, I was wrong, so I'm done. I don't judge anymore before I see it, or try not to. But
And yeah, that happened with Ben Affleck, and I thought it was a good choice from day one. But I was just like, everybody can let's wait and
he
see.
looks like Batman.
He was great.
He's
He
got
fit
broad.
the cape
He's
so
a big
well.
dude. He's got broad shoulders. He looks like he would be a thug.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, like I said before, that's the only one with a date, which that is looking summer of 2025. So I'm guessing he at least has a script.
He said he's working on it.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine somebody like James Gunn hasn't made that movie in his head
74
for decades.
times.
So yeah.
And I forget. Do you guys recall what was? Because he had made some other announcement. Like, what was the source material on that? What was he talking as far as source?
Grant Morrison's.
All Star.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great story.
Oh well, that's what I've heard is his inspiration.
Because he put a
It can't be. 'Cause that'd be.
It can't be
that'd
it can't
end
be,
of career.
That would be the end. Yeah. So, but that's what was on.
But if
Because he
you
posted
talk
a
about the
picture on-
hopefulness,
As far
and
as far as like an actual run, I don't know.
the message of it and stuff. Just the whole concept of that entire book where
Right.
everybody else that was like figuring out they're dying, they might do something reckless and stupid. Instead,
And instead
Superman
he-
decides to amp it up to be like, this is going to be the greatest I've ever been.
Didn't he end up in the sun at the end?
He did.
Yeah. What a wonderful.
Fantastic.
Thanks for ruining the movie.
That was my first time I saw Frank Quitely's art. I think.
Yeah.
In a major way.
It's good stuff.
Gone on to be one of my favorites.
So that takes us. Do you have anything else?
No,
You good?
I'm good.
All right. As far as Creature Commandos and Waller, just some brief facts on that for those of you that are looking. I think Creature Commandos. Can you look up while I'll handle Waller now, but I don't have a first appearance on Creature Commandos. I think it was
1980.
It was 1980. Waller was actually in Legends #1
Thank you, Jamie.
in 1986. Yeah, thank you, Jamie. So those are both a couple of first appearances if you're looking for them. Obviously, they became hot books this week, but if you're seeing them in those lists, that's why.
Weird War Tales, 93.
There you go.
No.
First appearance of Creature Commandos,
Which is what
That
year?
sounds right.
November 1980.
Yeah.
Joe Kubert did the art.
How can you beat that?
DeMatteis wrote it.
Can't.
Yeah. So it was DeMatteis and Broderick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was
Yes.
remembering. I wasn't sure if I was right.
And I'm just going to drop this right now. If they're going to introduce a vampire, by all means, DC, finally, do Bloodwind from the 92, 93 Justice League lineup from the Death of Superman. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that actually.
He's never broken through, but I love his look. He was one of my favorites when I was a kid, and now's the time. That's a necromancer waiting to be
Now is the time.
make him a superstar.
There you go.
So it'd be Lady Frankenstein, Captain Lucius Hunter, Professor Mazursky, and Dr. Medusa.
This sounds like a trauma film to me.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
but you,
No,
have-
absolutely.
Yeah.
you need to make that reference with James's history, right?
Yeah. That's where we started as far as
And
trauma
and if you
films.
take somebody like he did with Bloodsport, who was essentially a blank slate,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
did what he wanted with him, and it was all
But
the
you
better
cast
for it.
Idris Elba. It
Yeah,
doesn't
I mean,
matter.
you're gonna get
Oh,
Idris
man.
in there, and it's gonna be sexy at least.
Yeah, they're like, what do you want to do? He's like, whatever you want, man. You're Idris Elba.
You're just
I'm down for whatever.
Yeah.
You tell me what we're going to do.
But he made Polka Dot Man legitimately work in live action.
Dude, the heartstrings
that's-
on that
that's
one.
amazing. So
That, my favorite, though, was That's Your Mom.
No, I mean, he does a good job. He has that fine balance, but we've only seen him. I think I share the same concern, and that is he definitely can handle heart. It's not that he can't handle it, but like I don't want James Gunn to do to Superman what Taika Waititi did to Thor.
No.
In the sense
Yeah,
where I'm like,
no.
I don't want it to be jokes.
We don't need a Jim Carrey Superman.
Yeah, and I don't want it to
and
be.
I think he can do that. I do.
I think he can too.
But yeah, that is the fear. Also, who's the Justice League going to fight since they've already beaten Starro?
Right.
The Suicide Squad took out Starro, so
Yeah, I mean that's a lack of planning ahead. I
yeah,
suppose
it's
as
going
far
to
as
take.
knowing.
I don't think he thought he was going to get a shot.
See, no, he did. No, he was dressing for the job he wanted, and he got it. Right. So,
Let that be a lesson, kids.
yeah, don't dress for the job you want. Dress for the job you've got. That's my old man always used to say.
That's what. Yeah.
Which leads us into because timeline goes out the window at that point. They haven't announced anything as far as release dates, but what they have said, and I think this is the order in which the movies are released, is next would be The Authority, which I felt out of everything else in this list, that was the absolute most wild in my
Yeah,
opinion.
left field. Really exciting, but
Yeah,
left
yeah.
field.
Like Wildstorm property, like 90s based, like, but I mean,
99, I think.
yeah,
even.
yeah, 99.
And they've worked those characters into like the current continuity, but they're not major players in any way. And that was such a unique idea at the time. Like,
Yes. So, first appearance, we'll get that one out of the way with this one. First appearance is The Authority #1 in May of 1999. So that is the first appearance of them. It was by Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch did the art. They were eventually, it was started off as Wildstorm. DC picked it up, and it was eventually folded into, DC proper universe in New 52. in 2011.
And if anybody wanted to know, Amanda Waller's first appearance was in Legends 1,
Yeah,
1986.
Yep.
I think Midnighter is right now in the DC versus Vampires,
Yes.
and he's pretty awesome.
I don't think it's going to be. The weird thing isn't Ellis like we're not allowed to talk about him, right?
Yeah, well, he lost his Netflix show, and I haven't heard too much from him since I don't know. I'm not even quite clear on what happened, but either way, he's written some incredible comics, and that's what matters. So
No, it shouldn't affect as far as that story goes. But I'm wondering if that's gonna. It's obviously what probably won't happen. So most of the time, I feel okay. We just had this fantastic Sandman adaptation,
right.
and Gaiman was directly included, right?
Well, he
And
wrote-
that's the
he-
reason.
So if the creator is involved,
You can hope for the best.
Typically, you would have some insight. So if I'm saying like if Ellis is a no-no and he doesn't
Right.
come back, then it's So that's my only concern with
But
that.
if he
is-
does and he wants to be a better person and work on the Authority, then it's great. Everybody deserves a second chance.
sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
And there are like 3 or 4 great arcs to choose from for the Authority. I just don't know how they're going to work it into not just current DC continuity, but like the movies on top of
and
that.
the way that it's talked about, it's like Superman leads into the authority.
Authority.
So you're like, how do these two touch?
Will the ship still look like a dog's nose? I hope so.
Right.
That's
yeah.
what's important.
But it kind of also it will give you both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Because you'll have the hope side of it, and then the
Very
authority is more
cynical.
of the gray.
Yes.
you
Man,
know.
now if they can just do a Transmetropolitan show, I would be a happy guy.
Yeah.
I think DC universe could only benefit from having Spider Jerusalem in there.
Yeah.
Given his thought, given his take.
I mean, it'd be interesting for sure.
But anyway,
No, I mean, do you have any thoughts, Matt, on Authority? Was that something that you were reading? I mean, that for me, I read a few of them. That when they were introduced was right high school. That was me ending high school and then going into college.
was
So I was
picking that
not
up a
reading.
little
I
bit.
read it, and it wasn't.
I was at Woodstock '99 right then. I
I
wasn't reading
know.
comics.
I didn't read it when it
What
came out.
year
I
was
think
that?
I read it in 2001 or 2002.
99.
right.
Yeah.
It's not just a cute name. It was.
So it's not just a clever
99.
name. If you are going to read The Authority at home, kids, I would suggest stopping when Ellis leaves the book. It loses
It loses its continuity. It loses its structure.
it had a wonderful elegance to it. And then Mark Millar, who's done great work, but I don't think he did here. Just personally, I don't think he came at the characters.
That's what I was saying. When I read it, it fell apart there for me.
Yeah.
So I didn't continue on after that.
But it's a terrific book up until then.
Like you read it a little bit, Rick. You were still doing some at that point.
Well, I had actually dropped out, and it looked interesting enough to me that when I passed it on the newsstand, I picked it up and read a couple of
The
issues.
Hitch
you
art,
right
the
back
Brian Hitch
in.
art is.
And I
is
did that
great.
several other times, but I mean, that was one that I do remember reading. It didn't ultimately keep me interested. I don't remember why exactly. But
Bet I
I
can
did enjoy at least the beginning of it and how it was unfolding.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see those two opposites next to each other and how the one leads into the other. That would be, and again, from this point on, because we don't really have a continuity, I think we're just going to go over the movie parts and then we'll go hit the television shows
Okay.
after that.
You guys would be more familiar with this than me because you keep up on all the DC films, animated films. But could the Authority and Superman play into that Prestige and Superman kind of storyline? Wasn't there a group of heroic, oddball characters that Superman had a real battle with? It was in the comics as well, but I think they made it into one of the Superman films. And I thought they were called the Prestige.
Not ringing a bell for me.
Wow.
Sorry.
Okay.
I
Might have been
don't-
on the Bizarro World. I'm sorry.
No. It just may be yet another thing that you're aware of that we're not. Yeah,
They were real righteous in a way that Superman didn't agree with, and I think they were because there were so many. I think there were 4 or 5 or 6 of them. There was some advantage they had to combat Superman and keep him from carrying out what he needed to do.
yeah.
I do look forward to this live action Superman interacting with like Midnighter and Jenny
For sure.
and Apollo, just seeing what that would look like.
And I think, you know what? Actually, I think let's do it this way. I'll name all of them,
Okay.
and then from there, actually, let's just talk about the one we're most excited about. We can chat about all of them, but I mean, I'd rather get into because I've only discussed 2 at this point, and I'm just going to give the full list. So for movies, there's Superman Legacy, there's The Authority, Brave and Bold, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Swamp Thing.
Whoop, whoop.
Batman Part 2, which I said before is October 3rd, 2025. And then for the TV shows, there's Creature Commandos, Waller, as we had discussed before, Paradise Lost, Booster Gold, and Lanterns.
Whoop, whoop.
So I don't know how you guys feel. I've been way leaning harder towards television shows in the past
Especially after Peacemaker.
Yeah, the new format of like doing an adult show on HBO
With more format, with more
an
time,
expanded-
more content.
yeah. And more budget.
Yes.
Well, I mean, can you imagine? I think in particular instance, even like Vigilante was a standout because you gave him time with him. right?
Vigilante
I don't think
was.
I don't think if you just threw him in there for 15 minutes.
I want a Vigilante movie, show, everything.
Vigilante works well
Western
because
one?
of James Gunn.
Yes,
I
yes.
think we have
His
to give him-
goofiness was.
Yeah.
The Western one or the action hero one?
the action here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
So
so if the Green Lantern,
who wants to go first? As far as those, I mean, I know everybody feels strongly about one of those at least. Like you've already tipped your
Yeah.
already,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, in your direction.
well, before we, so if he's going to talk about something,
Yeah.
and nobody, I don't think has picked Supergirl, but we should probably go in depth because that one is based on a run,
Yeah.
a recent run, and it's excellent too.
no, it's fantastic.
Is it,
like
is
that
it
one-
Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow?
Woman of Tomorrow? Yeah, it's based upon the Tom King. La, 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 la. Saying both these together always gives me problems. Tom King and Evelyn Bilquist.
Bilquist, yeah.
It was recent. It's 2021.
It's 2021.
Yeah, very, very recent. It was an 8-issue arc. It was fantastic. It's Kara. Her planet was destroyed. There's a sword that belongs to the guy that ends up in it's a weird we always keep talking about how like Superman and whatever else should be hopeful, and this isn't that book. It is more.
No,
She's got a chip on her
no,
shoulder.
Yeah,
And but it's
Honestly,
cool.
though, Tom King wrote it, so it's
Right.
going to be good.
Oh yeah.
but over the 8 issues, her goodness does come through
Yes.
in a big way. It does the character a lot of justice. Gives her a couple more dimensions too.
It's one of my favorite books that came out in the past year. Personally, I've loved it. And then, well, I've been on a huge Tom King thing. I mean, I have for years, but I loved it. The art was fantastic. I mean, there's a lot. That's one of those. And it's not so long. I feel like you could just film it, and it's like, okay, well, that's successful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be easily like.
It'll translate well to the screen, I think.
Absolutely.
Just depending on who they cast and who they get to direct it.
Refresh my memory with the sword. You mentioned a sword element.
So I read it when it came out, and I can't tell you specifically the gentleman's name that destroyed her home planet, but it was the sword. So on the front cover of the main here, I pull it up here. I'll show you. On the main cover she's like in this pose, and she's holding this sword up, and that sword belongs to the person that basically destroyed her home planet. I'll just show you the art.
You guys can't tell at home, but the way he's typing is very action-packed looking.
It is. It's action-packed.
While you're looking, can I jump back to something else? When Matt was talking about the vigilante character.
So she's kind of posing with.
Oh yes, that's very.
No,
exciting.
I have it messed up. Her name is Bilquist Everly.
Oh, well, I missed
I
that.
always mix it up.
I just follow her on Instagram and it just says Bilquist.
Yeah. Yep.
When Matt was talking about the vigilante, and I realized he was talking about the one that had been in the Peacemaker episodes that I didn't see. But I was mentioning there was a Western one, and I know this is a little off topic, but I remember there being a lot of great Western characters. And with the Western, like Yellowstone and Walker Independence being popular TV series now, it would just be perfect for DC to include a Western TV show with their new plan.
If that's how we get Jonah Hex, then I'm all for it.
Right, Jonah Hex,
As
and there's
long as Megan is not attached to it.
It wasn't. It was it's not a good movie.
It was an hour and 10-minute movie, which was ridiculous.
Cut it down and cut it down.
But he did play a great Jonah.
Yeah, he was a great cast.
It was just with the movie,
of
it was-
Jonah himself. Yeah.
But there's like Vigilante was a great DC Western character. Not as good as Jonah Hex, but he was a good character. And then Marvel has the Rawhide Kid, Two Gun Kid, and Kid Cold Outlaw. There's so many good Western characters, and Ghost Rider was originally, even a Western character, and at least one version. So there's so many great things to be mined.
There will be, because Yellowstone is the biggest show on the planet right now, and there's like 54 different branches off from that. So I'm sure DC will get around to it.
Just thought
for
James while he's out there listening.
More cowbell.
There you go,
That's
James.
right. All right, back to Supergirl and the Sword. And
Sure. It's a cool story. I mean, I think people were kind of surprised because it's so recent. But if James is trying to make a contrast, let's say, so you have Superman, which is your hopeful movie, and you make it, Superman has to be good. He has to be the star. And then you have Supergirl's kind of a shit in this. I mean, she works her way towards that, but she's coming from the other end of the spectrum, kind of working towards the middle, I'd say. She's not a bad person. I'm saying she's not the hopeful type.
But there'll be some cynicism there, just like with the Authority.
Right.
And I can't imagine Swamp Thing's going to be exactly happy about the way the world's going.
So I'm
if
thinking
Superman's literally going to be the only shining beacon there, that could be
that's going to be where it spreads,
character.
and that's a cool idea if you talk about it as Superman's the center of all the hope, and all the other stuff they introduced has to take on Superman's infectious hopefulness. I think that's a cool...
Or beat him down, but it won't because he's Superman. And that could be the theme, and that would be wonderful to watch over the next few years.
For sure.
I don't know if I'm confused generally or if this is a Golden Age, Silver Age problem, but so they're saying now Supergirl's not from Krypton?
No, not in this one.
Okay. Well, that might be interesting and a surprise to some of the older fans.
Was she
So
still
it's gonna be Kara and not Linda, right?
It's Kara.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it's going to fit in with the other films. I mean, we've got 8 comic book issues to go off of. I mean, and if they just film that, it should be fine. But I think the reason why they're doing it, from what I understand, is it's going to be Superman Legacy, then Authority, then Brave and Bold, then Supergirl, then Swamp Thing.
Now, how brave and how bold do you guys think the decision to have Damian Wayne be the...
It's a brave decision, and it is bold, because I don't know of anyone that actually likes Damian Wayne.
I do.
John Kent likes Damian Wayne.
Only when they were children.
Yeah, when they were kids. And that took some doing.
But I mean, if they have Damian, then they're gonna have to introduce his mom and Talia, and they're gonna have to hopefully we'll get Roz again. But my concern with that is that the Nolan movies did such a good job with those characters. How do you match that in casting and acting and story?
That's true. At least he's got a fresh slate as far as
yeah, but I mean, you can't. How do you
Robins.
compare to that to the Nolan? It's very hard. So are they actually going to be there?
Following Nolan up in any way,
You're going to get the opportunity to have Nightwing already exist. You're going to have the opportunity to have Barbara and all Red Hood and all that stuff already exist. And the thing is I think James Gunn will have fun with a little shit of a character.
Yeah. Do you think the other Robins are out there? The whole Bat family?
Yeah.
Think Jason's out there shooting people?
I think that's the assumption.
Yeah.
Are they going to have time though to introduce all these characters and see them on film
and balance them
in a movie
and still give Batman his due?
Yeah.
Well, how do you? Okay.
One of the great things about Brave and the Bold when I was reading it was every issue was like a new adventure related maybe to the first ones that you read, but
Sure.
So there's a chance for them to set it up and then just roll with a string of movies if they wanted to, including all these elements that you're thinking about.
All the Brave and the Bold was such a great thing.
Great
It
anthology.
became mostly a Batman book, but
and it's going to be based on the Grant Morrison Frank Quietly run, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Specific one.
Well, and then that led into the Tom King stuff, which was more of what focused on their dynamic.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm partial to. I was super excited this week because I saw a lot of Tom King and a lot of Grant Morrison, and Morrison's a good writer. Like, he's good at. I don't know. How
He's
to
good.
describe
He's good at.
I don't know if he sticks landings, but I think
he's a very good
writer.
idea man.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the ideas never. The stories.
he throws long. That's for sure.
The stories
Yeah.
rarely come together in the end, though.
If they are indeed going to be bold, do you think they would have Dick as Batman, like he was for a good part of this run?
Black Mirror stuff.
Maybe that's the whole ball game. Maybe
But But they're touting it as an unusual father and son character,
that's okay.
character study.
Okay.
So I don't think if the other ones are there, it's going to be fleeting.
All I want it to be now is the movie Step Brothers, but with Batman and Robin.
Do we just become father and
We just
son?
become father and son. Yup. That'd be funny.
Seeing Batman as a dad with an impossible son, it's got its merits. I think that could be fun to watch.
I like Damian. That's where
I do. I like Damian.
In his most recent series, when it was just basically the entire book series was him fighting in that tournament.
Yeah.
Kicking
I
ass.
like over time he's really grown on me like he did with the rest of the family. And like he has a very big head about himself because he is great at everything, but he's also very short and he has to so there's always, you can always just come back at him with a short joke. He has an affinity for animals. He had a cow. He's got a dog. He's got a whole menagerie. He has a very soft affinity for animals. He's got there's a lot of cool stuff about him. He's got a heart of gold, but I mean, he was raised as an assassin from birth. I mean, that's going to mess up a kid.
Yeah.
I know.
We talked about it earlier.
Because you were raised as an assassin?
Yes. I've murdered so many people. You should see the light go out of their eyes. You don't think it affects you, but it does.
Almost makes you a son of a demon.
Anyway.
Isn't he pretty well done in the Titans film? Or Titans TV show?
God, I hope so.
No. That's
not
Jason Todd, and that guy. So that actually is related because I'm sorry, I can't. So as I was looking through the stuff this week, I see different articles, and I read something where the dude from Titans was basically like tweeting at James Gunn like, "It should be Jason Todd. Don't you think that'd be a good idea? I'm not doing anything. You should let me be Jason Todd."
He was well cast.
I think that ended up, I saw one or two of them. I thought they were very good when he was in. I just prefer my Batman childless myself. He can be with Talia all he wants, but I want him to be childless.
Batman, if the current detective run will tell you anything, wants to be, he says they make him weak. So
Matt and I have talked about this.
He casts him aside.
He should either be completely alone, and maybe Dick and Barbara, or have the whole family. Yeah.
When they have the whole family, it's just, it's never a good read.
No.
You got 34 characters and 32 pages.
They all have ears.
He's a Dark
long
Knight
ears.
vigilante. He doesn't have time to
Babysit.
Yeah, he can't make Thanksgiving. I'm sorry. Crime doesn't sit down for turkey.
And Alfred didn't have time to get everybody presents for their birthdays
And yet
Christmas.
he does.
Yes, I'm sure
I
he
mean,
does.
and has cucumber sandwiches ready.
Man, Alfred, I tell you what.
But anyway, Rick, which one of these do you think is the most enticing?
Well, let me hit this.
Oh, sorry.
Because we're going back. We're also giving first appearances. For those of you that don't know, Batman's first appearance is Detective Comics number 27. Damian's is Batman volume, whatever that volume is.
It's the Son of the Demon hardcover is actually his
656.
his first appearance, but that's like the Elseworld stuff.
Yeah.
That was in 87.
We're talking about canon books that'll actually appreciate
Talia
value.
behaved questionably.
655 was his first cameo. Batman 656 is his first appearance.
Which also, Talia, is fun. I mean, if one is to assume that if Damian is involved, Talia is probably involved. And her first appearance
He had to have a mother.
is Detective 411, which our store currently has in a CGC grade 8.0. If you are interested, give us a call.
It is a beaut.
It's a beautiful book. So, yeah, Rick, I mean, of the things we've discussed, like, are there any of them that kind of capture your attention or?
Well, right away, I'm interested in the Green Lantern or Lanterns episode. I can't imagine anything cooler than Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart being like on the road and solving crimes or mysteries together. I think that would be absolutely fantastic and a great setup for guest stars and a lot of interesting scenarios and their favorite characters.
Yeah, it's been described as True Detective starring Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. I'm like,
Gosh, that's
We should
How
be
is
so
that?
lucky.
how is that not the show?
Yeah.
Is Carrie Fukunaga gonna?
Oh man.
That'd be
That'd be the only way that
awesome.
we as a people don't deserve that.
No. Yes, we don't.
No, because I mean, I don't know.
I want to see that dynamic with the somewhat reckless Hal and the very
Meticulous.
John
ex-military and test pilot should be interesting. Yeah.
with architect who is very everything has to have a rhyme and reason to it.
And thank goodness it's television. It'll be something that's at least 8 episodes a season, hopefully more as far as fleshing that out. And like,
So we could see the other lanterns on the other color
Yes.
spectrum.
There's
lanterns.
no. It's just called lanterns. So
lanterns.
that's it,
If somehow we can go all the way and get to see Larfleeze, I will be happy.
dude.
It says DC Studios said it will be an enormous TV series focusing on the two unraveling a dark mystery.
Ooh, sounds awesome.
Hell yeah.
Get some Kilowog in there. Get Atrocitus in
I
there.
have to be
Star
true
Sapphire
to myself.
looking fine.
That's not the thing that I'm looking forward to.
You don't want to see Larfleeze?
I don't want to see any other Green Lanterns, honestly. I just want to see those two. That's me
It's
personally
called
because I'm
Lanterns,
old.
though, so they're going to see more than one.
Plus,
I know that's
Earth Sector 2814 is very well represented as far as
Tom
lanterns
Ray,
go.
that's okay, but I don't
Oh
really
yeah,
need to see anybody else.
Katmatui, Abin Sur. We got to see Abin Sur.
He's dead.
I guess the part that makes me
show me a
sad though is
flashback.
if this is done extremely well, it's going to be a Green Lantern show that has a better detective feel than any Batman show has to this
Wow,
point.
that would be sad. Yeah.
I don't know.
know what I
the
mean?
Batman was pretty good at
Yeah,
that.
but also he'll be solving like crimes in Gotham. These people will be solving like planetary assassinations and stuff.
I understand.
Space crimes.
I understand.
Are they gonna
but-
fight Rick and
But
Morty
it's
then?
not.
Oh.
It's not Hal Jordan, world's greatest detective.
Yeah.
But they are cops, and they're gonna be doing cop stuff.
I
So,
get that. I know.
they're gonna be out there like,
Do they have body cams, though?
wow. Well, they're gonna be solving murders on Neptune. But I mean,
Somehow I pictured it as the road, like not in their planetary, which is why I didn't think the other Green Lanterns would fit in so well. I thought it would be them, like the Green Arrow, Green Lantern. Thing
Oh, yeah,
Neil
yeah, when they
Adams
go out
and
on the
Daniel
road
O'Neill
and-
did,
yeah.
where they're just on the road and
me
it's
show
like
you
body
America,
ecology
Hal.
and
The real
racial
America.
discrimination and things like that.
yeah, but we solved that. So
I think we might have some controversy about that.
No. Don't be sorry. It's all. It's all.
But
it's all out
if
there.
in successive
who
seasons
better?
we get to see like Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, who I think is a lot of people's who grew up in our generation.
yeah.
He was mine growing up. Same with the Grant Morrison JLA.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get. I mean, even now we have Jessica Cruz, Simon Baz, Sojourner Mullen. These are all great characters. So I think there's nothing but room. It's a big universe.
It is. It's got a lot of possibilities.
Full disclosure, Lanterns and Swamp Thing were the two that were like,
Swamp Thing, yeah.
oh, for sure.
Swamp Thing is what I'm looking to the most. Only if it's R-rated. And a actual horror story.
It'd be fantastic. I mean, you know,
The recent DC series I thought was excellent.
If it
very
comes
good.
PG-13 and then we get like an R-rated director's cut, I'll accept
the
that.
Superman movie's already been rated PG-13.
Yes.
I'm assuming Swamp Thing will be R.
Do you want to see it follow the Moor?
Yes. Oh my God.
That would be great.
Did you ever end up watching the show? Did you get a chance to?
I get the first couple episodes.
Great.
So
I need to finish it though.
it's pretty horror. Like when the first main guy goes out and he lures him out there, and then he
But I love how the
tears
swamp,
his limbs off.
the swamp is an actual character.
Very much,
and it's-
yeah.
And it adds,
green.
it adds, yes, well, it adds a depth to it that you couldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, and I hope they do work in the green.
Yes.
The red.
Well, that's where I was going with it. Is like, I was like, oh man, where's Animal Man at? Because Animal Man totally does not seem like a James Gunn.
Very much so.
So that's why
Love
if you think
Animal
about
Man.
this in phases, green, eventually, get to, like in Swamp Thing, maybe Constantine shows up, and then we get from Constantine to like a Justice League Dark,
We get Zatanna.
Zatanna.
get Zatanna, and all
Dead
that,
Man.
and then yep.
Oh, wow.
Etrigan the Demon.
You guys are getting me excited.
And then we talk about the Red, which you get Lemire's stuff involved.
yeah.
And then,
And the Snyder Swamp Thing at the same time. It was also a great run. Yeah.
so it seems like they're not like shying away from taking some of the new. They're not trying to like look back to like old.
Yeah.
They don't have like a rule like
it
it's
looks
gotta
like
be 30
they've
years.
gone through and picked out what stories they think are the best or what's going to work best. So
I have an unpopular opinion though. I like the old.
Swamp Thing movie.
Yes.
I do too. The Wes Craven,
Yes, that thing was amazing.
Adrian
It
Barbeau.
scared the hell out of me when I was 12, man.
Yeah.
I love that thing. I know it was goofy, but
So, fun fact: I had no idea that existed. Kelly, my wife had to tell me about it. She's like, "You've never seen that?" I was like, "No, I didn't know that existed." And she's like,
Oh my gosh,
Here,
dude, yeah.
watch."
well, they made it Beauty and
she
the
had-
Beast basically in the swamp.
Yes.
And you loved
She
it,
should be-
or you really loved
Do you
it?
remember she showed me something? What was the scene? There was like a dinner that happens,
Yes.
and then It was just like, did somebody turn into it? Did
There's
somebody
a possum guy.
some transformation? I remember, and I remember just thinking like, what is this? This is crazy.
This is This is a horror icon, man.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, it's of its time. But I really liked it. I like it being part of the Swamp Thing pantheon.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. For what it is, I mean, that's
Alan Moore was making this very high art, and then they made this movie.
And then Wes Craven took
Yeah.
over. So what was it? Also, we were talking earlier. Like, who is it that you said that you'd heard was attached? Possibly.
So in the initial words were it was Guillermo del Toro, which would be fantastic.
Wow.
Because he wrote it Justice League Dark some years ago.
and it fits with everything he's ever made.
it would be.
Think Pan's Labyrinth.
Jesus.
Yeah, we don't.
Like,
we do not. Again, we don't deserve that.
We didn't deserve Hellboy, man.
We did not deserve two of them.
No, not from him. We did not deserve.
Right.
So and then that morphed into
The new rumor is James Mangold of Logan,
which I can accept that as well.
Ford v Ferrari, and the forthcoming Indy 5.
Yes, I can accept
Great
that as
films
well.
all.
But Guillermo would be like the home run of that whole thing.
He'd be the get for anything. Yeah.
Jeez.
But I would like to see him do a Justice League Dark proper,
Yeah.
or Dead Man or Etrigan or anybody he could direct kid's birthday video.
Was
and
that the
it'd be
most
incredible.
exciting thing for you about hearing James Gunn personally, Shayne?
No, mine.
No,
mine-
I'm saying knowing that James Gunn does not shy away from taking these other.
Absolutely.
And I was hoping we get Guillermo so we could just have a Doug Jones
as a small thing.
or something.
Or Dead Man.
Tell me he doesn't. He would be
man,
amazing.
He
Dead
looks
Man.
like it.
I want Nathan Fillion as a Green Lantern or something.
He'd be great.
Fantastic.
Great Hal. Yeah. Somebody who loves the C, D, E tier characters, not just for the sake of it though. He seems to genuinely have something to say about them. Like Polka Dot Man. He didn't put him in there for gags. Everybody thought that's what it would be. But no, there's a real.
He had a horrible backstory.
Yeah, there was something there. The Guardian's the same, and if he's doing that with my beloved DC characters, like if he wants to make a Red Tornado movie that makes me cry, I am all for it.
Yeah.
times 1,000.
I'm sorry. I was reading Creature Commandos and I didn't know. Rick Flag's father is one of them. And you ready for this, everybody? His name is Rick Flag Sr. So.
Boy,
I don't know why that just hit me funny where I was like,
I hope
okay,
they keep that continuity. That
Is it Rick or is it Richard?
it possibly could be Richard.
I hope it's the
How old
actual
is this?
Joe
So it's
Kinnaman
Dick Flag?
version of Flag's dad, though, in this
Right,
continuity.
yes, yeah.
Because we still don't know what continuity he's keeping and what he's throwing out. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how Richard is a very common comic book hero name.
it sure is.
It is. It's cool. So Swamp Thing, Matt. You haven't really given us the what specifically are you excited about?
Because it's so off the wall, it's so off the cuff, and then it will lead to hopefully Constantine.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Because
I figured that was the angle because
I want to see Constantine in the action, and his first appearance was Saga of Swamp Thing 37.
Yep.
So you want a dark Swamp Thing?
I want a dark movie, and I think that we deserve that.
Yeah.
And I want a movie that actually shows his power level.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh,
green,
absolutely.
like
Yeah, I want to see the green as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I want that, but that, like you said earlier, it'll maybe morph into Zatanna and the dark. And
Yeah, because the first time the Justice League Dark that we know of ever got together was in
Coalesced,
the Alan
yeah.
Moore
Yeah.
run originally. Yeah,
Madam
during the crisis.
Xanadu.
Yeah, oh yeah. If we get Madam Xanadu, that'd be wonderful too.
so. With that, we've got Swamp Thing. We already talked about that movie.
we need to talk about Paradise Lost and that one little thing called Booster Gold.
Booster Gold.
Mr. Gold.
Well, Paradise Lost sounds great because isn't it going to be kind of more mythological?
Themyscira.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
all going to be on Themyscira.
Yep.
That
So
sounds great to
It
me.
opens the door for like.
How do you
Nubia,
recast?
Artemis? All those.
I never saw Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman until I saw her as Wonder Woman. But now, how do you cast Wonder
There's
Woman?
no replacing her.
It's the same problem with Cavill. It's going to be.
We did it again. I'm sorry. Swamp Thing's first appearance is House of Secrets '92 from July of 1971. Just
it was Lin Wein.
Everyone knows
Bernie
that,
Wrightson.
though.
Bernie writes
some
it.
of these I know, but I'm just just for consistency's sake.
And the Lin Wein comics were fine, but the Bernie Wrightson art was just next level. And then when
yes.
Alan Moore came and wrote it, he changed what comics are and what they could be.
And
As
just
cliche as
remember-
it sounds, I'll say it one more time.
And just remember, he left Swamp Thing and helped create the new X-Men, so he wasn't a fluke in comic book world as far as great ideas and great stories.
Len, right?
Len Wein, yeah, he did Giant Size, right?
He worked in the new characters with Dave Cockrum.
That's awesome.
So that'll be a good show. Artemis, hopefully we'll see,
Yes.
and maybe it'll open up to more Amazons outside of Themyscira.
So like Yara.
I would love to see Yara Flor.
Absolutely.
She's one of the legacy characters I think is fantastic.
She's one of the best legacy characters been introduced in the last 5 years. Anyway,
She was created by superstar powerhouse of artistry, Joelle Jones.
She can draw a fucking horse.
Written and
that
drawn.
horse cover was that was a pretty ass horse.
Well, horses all around. When
Yes. Yes.
fun fact, a lot of you probably already know that, but she is the only female artist to be the artist on a mainline Batman book to this day.
Plus, she did the Catwoman stuff.
When she did the run,
That's progress. That's sad that
Tom
it's,
King.
It only took 80
seems
years.
weird to think.
Yeah,
It seems weird to
I
think
didn't-
about.
That's crazy.
But yeah, it's weird to think about. But isn't that's
is-
awesome?
that
Remember
is
that
awesome.
the whole storyline where he goes over and Talia's there. He goes with Catwoman.
Oh yeah,
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 and they have the they don't like
Yeah, there's horses all over the place.
There are
She can
horses
draw a horse,
everywhere.
man. It's awesome.
But then that led to her doing that Catwoman run.
And
Which
it-
she did the
just-
art for it. She wrote it, and it was so beautiful.
not
and so
enough.
well
I wish
done.
she'd have gone further. It was so good.
But can you imagine drawing,
Oh no, I can't.
writing,
I literally can't.
and then doing all the art?
All of
that
it.
would, yes.
I think that's just what ultimately killed the Wonder Girl
Yeah.
book. It only got to 7, and I don't think.
And they were so good.
They were.
So if we get to see like this whole the Amazonian thing open up, it would be awesome. Nubia
Yes.
would pop up.
Well, just I don't know. Even if it's just a politics show, right? As far as like the island and them kind of.
Yeah,
I got to have the
conflict is
mythology in there. That's the exciting part to me because that's as a child
working
I
the
was
whole-
so enthused about the Greek and Roman mythology.
Yeah.
That was my absolute favorite growing up. Like, I felt really. It was weird. So in 7th grade, we had a Greek mythology class. I don't know if anybody else had
Yeah,
stuff
we did
like
too.
that.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. And it was like, that was my favorite class,
As a matter of fact,
maybe of all time.
textbook, the paperback textbook we used when I was in school was written by a woman here from Fort Wayne.
Edith Hamilton.
Yeah, she was from Fort Wayne.
Yeah, I read that. It's good. It's nerds. No, it's
We're on the same page
great,
all the time,
man.
Shane.
There's
You and I
actually
should move
there's
in
a
together.
statue of her. There's a statue of her down at Headwaters.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I know everyone of some rapport from Fort Wayne. It was her and Carol Lombard. That's it.
Yeah.
They're also saying that
Shelley.
Paradise Lost could be very Game of Thronesy.
Yeah, but is that another just one of those
Well, I mean,
blurbs that
Warner Brothers owns Game of
Saga-esque.
Thrones,
that's
so they-
that saga-esque?
Yeah.
Yes.
Saga.
They all said it'll be
Saga-esque.
saga-esque.
But Warner Brothers actually owns the Game of Thrones.
That's, yeah,
So.
yeah. Let's just slide those writers right
People
over.
don't think of that as DC. They should. Warner Brothers and DC are the
Yeah.
same company.
Yep, to me they're inextricable.
The mascara has always been fascinating to me.
It is.
And then like the
Why was Linda Carter not cast as her mother, though? I never understood that. I know it's off topic, but
in the movies, like why didn't
in
they
the
do it?
Snyderverse, why wasn't Linda Carter literally cast as Wonder Woman's
She was
mother?
at the end of the 84, Wonder Woman 84, but
that was
nobody
a
knows because
cameo.
nobody got that far.
No, people turned it off in the 10 minutes.
Boy.
It was cool that it was cool that she was in it.
Unpopular opinion, there is a very good 70-minute movie in Wonder Woman 84.
No, I can see it. I thought that Lord was a buffoon, which is
That was incorrect from top to bottom, yeah.
yeah. And then I think that
But I thought Cheetah could have been great.
I had a hard time getting past the whole, rape thing the entire movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like she made him into him. She made him into him, and then
Steve.
it was without consent the entire movie. She took over someone.
What about the idea that that guy probably had a family?
Yes.
It's like we haven't seen you for
Sleeping
7
with
months.
this woman that's beautiful.
Where'd Dad go? I don't know.
That's why that was the hardest part for me.
did
to
you
get
watch
through
it, Rick?
I'm probably going to be the most unpopular person in the world after these sessions together, but
Thank goodness.
I know. I need someone to take mine.
I liked it. I went during the height of COVID and saw it in IMAX.
Oh,
and maybe I was
lowered
just in
expectations.
Yes.
the right mood, but
Think about the
I
kids.
just thought it was great. I can watch Gal Gadot, drink a soda. She can do anything.
Hey, why is that, Rick? Why could you think of her drinking
She's
a
like
soda?
the most beautiful woman on the planet. I
is
just think she's
beautiful.
wonderful, and
She is.
she can act. I mean, if she was only pretty, that'd be one thing, but she has talent, and so it.
That's what I'm saying. It's
sells
gonna be
Wonder
hard
Woman for
to. It's
me
gonna be hard to
entirely.
recast her because I see her now. I mean,
Yeah.
before her it was Lena Hamilton, but I just
Carter.
Lena Carter.
No, I'm sorry, Lena Carter. But I just see.
Chun, chun, chun.
It should play behind her when she walks into Kroger.
Yeah. I think that
Does she walk around with a shotgun all the time?
no, I agree with you 100% to take it back. I think the Cheetah is a big bad. You didn't need to throw Maxwell Lord in there.
And you had Kristen Wiig there.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on, Maxwell Lord. I mean,
No, Maxwell Lord's great, but it was just the conception from the beginning was just
yes, it was. It was.
He
the
did
whole
have
time-
two versions though in the comics. He wasn't always the way he was in JLA, which is what you're remembering, right?
yeah, but also in the incarnation in the 2000s when he shot Ted Cord in the face,
And then when she snapped his neck on television.
which you know what, I'm gonna go with her. I know,
Right.
I know. Like if you're Batman and Superman, that's a no-no. But come on,
Were you there? I'm sorry. Time frame wise, I don't recall that either. So the Infinite Crisis era.
2005, 6?
Yeah. So she snaps his neck, and then that's what led her. So the whole Trinity just disappeared for a year, and basically that was when Wonder Woman like laid low after she snapped his neck on.
but it led to a great year
Marshals are coming
Yeah.
for me.
for DC Comics, as
which
far as
will lead us into Booster, because there's a lot of Booster that happens.
yes,
I mean,
and
but
Booster
during-
featured very heavily in the
Yes.
the year that followed, 52.
Yep. So.
And
Were you? I guess my question was: Were you aware of that when she?
I
Snapped?
was not aware of that.
In the comics, she snapped Maxwell Lord's neck.
she-
cut his head off. Which one was it?
Cut his head off.
Cut his head off.
Yeah.
Yeah. She just like
but to
Unlike
mitigate against more suffering.
unlike the movie where he was like
She is
sorry,
a
and everything
warrior.
goes back to normal.
She is a warrior. She does not go into battle and like tries just to really hurt people.
She has a
She's
sword.
here
Do
to-
you think she's
here
walking
to-
around with
yeah.
that sword just to, like?
This is only to block stuff.
Yeah, she's not.
She's like, no, that's what the shield's for, honey.
I know.
You're like-
She's a warrior born.
and this was over the Ted Cord murder.
It was over a lot of things that Maxwell Lord had been doing.
he had been playing a dangerous game of chess.
Hey, I was gonna say, what was the name of his organization?
Chess.
Was that it?
But that's
Well,
why-
you're looking. Can I
Oh,
just
man.
insert?
By all means.
I think it's a sin, an unforgivable sin, to kill off any Steve Ditko character. That's like killing off the Stan Lee character.
Absolutely.
checkmate. That's why I was thinking of Chase.
Checkmate. That's I knew we were close.
Yep.
No, and I still it rankles me. But Cord didn't give up anything. He is a true hero. He died.
That's the greatest Blue
Died like
Beetle.
him, and he's the only Blue Beetle for me.
Me too.
I mean I like Dan Garrett and Jamie Reyes, but no.
Yeah.
Ted
it's
Cord.
Cord.
He's my number.
Because
He took all
was-
his Spider-Man energy when he left Marvel and created the perfect Batman Spider-Man
my fourth
synthesis.
favorite superhero ever.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
which leads us beautifully.
Beautifully into what I am looking forward to the most out of all of these, and that is the Booster Gold TV show. Now, Rick doesn't like Booster. He does not share my passion for Booster, but
I like Dan Jurgens, who was the creator.
Dan Jurgens created him.
But I'm not
in,
crazy
in,
about
in
Booster.
1986, so he is a new character, relatively new character.
Booster Gold #1 in
Number
February of '86.
Got a beautiful copy at home,
Yeah.
Right next to Dead Man.
right next to Deadman.
Right next to Deadman.
But
No
I've
comparison.
told Rick this many times. I came of age when the post. We were just coming off of the JLA redoing it in the with Jay Mateus and Kevin Maguire.
Kevin Maguire, yeah.
Yeah, so it was the Death of Superman era, and that Justice League was comprised of Guy, Booster, Blue Beetle, Maxima, Fire, Ice, and Bloodwind. To me, I was 8, so that was what I had: the original Justice League, the original 7, and them. That's what I just thought they were. So to me, they were never C-T-D list characters. They were A characters. Like they were incredible.
They're like, these can't be that low on the list.
Yeah,
They're in the Justice
I
League.
didn't know that they were a joke, but in hindsight, like you see how they stood up against Doomsday. One would think that the original 7 would have held their own a little bit longer. I think Doomsday just plowed through this 7 in about 4 or 5 minutes. But again, Booster saw Doomsday coming, saw what the destruction he would wrought, and he stood up. I mean, he was immediately beat down, but he's someone who has become a hero over time. So Booster,
But a hero's in your heart, not the battles you win.
right?
So
he,
and that's,
you
and that's
know,
Booster.
and he's always thought of as the joke, but at the end of the day, he'll do what's right. It'll be self-serving in some way. He's he's a social media whore, but
Well, and this is the one that if they're going to go comedy, that's the one I want.
It would have to be a comedy, yeah. And he's always building a brand. He was invented before the social media era, but it's like he's tailor-made.
He was made for
that.
it,
He just
yeah.
is constantly branding
Skeets
himself.
is like his
Like
mobile.
And Skeets loves him too, so it's got to be something.
yeah, Skeets is going to look out for him, and he knows the lovable idiot that he has. But like, I think that his outfit, it should be like a NASCAR door. He should have like
Yes.
little decals of all the places that he's like, he got like an Adidas thing and a Chevron thing here. Like, yeah, that's who he is. He
Booster Gold brought to you by
no, but that he should land and be like, when I get done with saving the
Exactly.
planet, I like a ice cold Mountain Dew. It'll give you the boost you need, something like that. See, this movie's gonna write itself. But I love Booster because like he has a sad story though. So he's from the 31st century, right? And he was a star football player and like just the king of his school. Everybody loved him. He was gonna go places. He's gonna have his life was like set for him, and then his ne'er-do-well dad comes back into the picture and starts convincing him to bet on games, start throwing him, so he gets some extra money for the family. He gets caught, disgraced, kicked out. He can never play ball again. He ends up being there's nothing wrong with, I mean, okay, he should get a slap on the wrist, you know, and
Right.
Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. You gamble on some games, whatever. It's what you do on the field. All right. Scott
That's what
Rowland's in
Congress
the
does
Hall
with
of
our money
Fame.
every day. So.
My goodness.
What?
That's what Congress does with their money every day.
Yeah.
So he ends up being a security guard at this museum for superheroes. So he has access to all these tech and all these 31st century tech and a time machine.
Yep.
So he assembles his outfit from all of it with all these different things that they can do and goes back in time to have the life and be the hero that he was going to be anyway.
Or he thought he could be.
Yes, and he gets there and it doesn't go well. It doesn't. It's not an easy. It's
It
never,
never
easy.
goes well.
Yeah, it's never an easy one. But from jump, I thought he was great. But he didn't really start to shine until the JLA, and he hooks up with he meets Ted Cord, and him and Blue Beetle become
Him and Blue Beetle
best
have the
friends.
best. Those are always the stories I like the best.
And yeah, I think they work best together.
Because it's two idiots trying to figure out the world.
No, if I was going to do a show, a Booster Gold show, it would be the Love Boat, and it would be the Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, and like every week they'd have like a new celebrity guest,
Sure.
and they'd have like this resort, or they'd have like an actual boat, and it would just be the most low stakes. What shenanigans are they going to get themselves into this week? And it would be awesome.
Well, we talked about it. I think it was Wednesday when you came in. Like, there's a single panel in Tom King's Mr. Miracle run. Remember when it's Scott and then Blue Beetle and Booster Gold drunk outside behind the bar?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Just take that single scene.
and that's it.
That's it. That's all you needed in the entire thing. You're like, those guys.
And
hell
I'm
yeah.
going to plant my flag now. We're not doing fan casting, but right now I will say that if they're doing it right, Zac Efron will be Booster Gold. I'm just saying.
You're saying that?
Yes.
Because the hot news, what people want, is that the Glenn guy from
Maverick.
Yeah. The hot shot.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
He kind of looks. I mean,
He's the Iceman character.
Right. He would be the second best choice. I agree.
Who would be cast as Skeets?
The voice?
Because it's an AI, right?
yeah,
People
yeah.
who
And-
are listening may not know who Skeets
Lindsay
is.
Lohan.
Well, it would have to sound like somebody who knew what they were talking about. So, I don't know. Get the guy that.
Hey, Morgan Freeman. Come on. Let's just go. Let's shoot for the stars, man.
Booster, you need to
You know, I love your enthusiasm.
have Hugh
for
Laurie.
Booster Gold.
Oh, Booster's an incredible
But
character.
Booster's
for me,
fantastic.
as an old guy, the only thing I want to see from the 30th century and beyond is the Legion of Superheroes.
But what better way to introduce them
Oh no!
right now? Because you have
please.
Superman and you have Booster, so you can get that. And also,
Don't let
there's
that
something to
be.
be said though in comics, which is a very fast-moving stream, and for every idea that works, there's 1,000 that don't. But Booster's origin story, his character, and his outfit were correct from day one. They haven't changed, and that's
true.
It's a big deal.
I beg to offer that Mon-El should be the intro to the Legion of Superheroes.
Well, what if
that's the way it
Booster
was
is the
originally.
introduction to Mon-El?
Dun dun dun.
It was a Superboy story. Is that?
I know it's a super, but they're not going to do Superboy.
Yeah.
If they're already doing Superman.
A young Mon-El coming back in
Superboy's gonna be
time
its
and
own-
interacting with Superman
own
wouldn't
thing.
hurt me, but also
But
Saturn
I'm saying
Girl,
if we see
Lightning
Booster,
Lad, and Cosmic Boy coming back.
if we
meeting-
see
meeting
Booster in the
Superman.
31st century, he's already there, so he could see these people. They could be there. Maybe not for this movie, but it's a way
think
to
of them as a
it's
more serious
soft
team.
introduction.
think of them as a more serious team. That would be
Booster
hard
is
for
very.
me.
That's where Booster gets very serious because
Yeah.
where he kind of hit his stride, I think, in recent books was we had the time without Superman, without Batman, without Wonder Woman, and people had to step up.
Yeah,
And
what do you do when your
Booster-
protectors are gone?
But Booster absolutely did. It was one of the. It's where he showed
and
his
his,
character.
and his best friend had just been murdered.
Yes.
and so he has to pick up the pieces and.
I wasn't there for that.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what another step is when he met Nexus. How did Nexus fare with Booster Gold?
Did he meet Nexus? The Steve Rude Nexus?
Craig showed me a cover one day
boy.
with Nexus and Booster Gold in the same image. I presume it's from a comic, but because I'm a Nexus fan,
Oh, yeah.
Mike Barron and Steve
great
Rude,
if,
I know they're the greatest. I just miss Nexus so much, and when I saw that image, I said, "Wow!" When I quit, I really missed a lot.
I love Steve Rude, but I don't know if he
Yeah.
owns a shirt with sleeves on it. But Nexus is, yeah.
Pull it up, Jamie, will you?
Jamie is working.
Those are great Wisconsin artists and writers that have influenced me.
Way off topic. I was looking for a first.
The Super Team Family. Super Team Family number 1,401, July. Super Team Family presents Nexus and Booster Gold.
I don't think it
That's
made
all
it
I
that
showed
far.
you. Yeah.
I think Nexus is really underrated. He should have a bigger media presence. I think a movie with him would be fantastic. I know for a long time they wanted to
that's
do a
what
Space
Nexus-
Ghost-like cartoon or animated episode.
Of Nexus?
Yeah.
I know I'm going to give you to read. I'm going to give you the Jeff Johns, the blue and gold, Booster Gold run.
I think
would
maybe it
enjoy
sounds
that.
like Booster Gold really changed
Well,
a lot when I dropped out.
yeah,
'Cause he was really
yeah.
corny
He
when
grew.
I was reading it.
Well, he's still
he's
kind of
coming to
corny,
his
but
own.
it's a fun time. Jurgens just did a run of
Blue and
another
Gold.
Blue and Gold.
Yep.
8 issues last year. It was good.
My experience was with him when he was a very, very new character. Maybe I just
Oh, yeah.
didn't see
That's
all
so
the
funny
nuances.
because it's like totally flips it. That's where you're like really interesting because I feel like we have this new stuff where things kind of got a little heavier and a little deeper, and you like those older books because they were more whimsical and lighthearted. And then Booster Gold is a new character that is
Whimsical,
whimsical and lighthearted and kind of goofy.
I'll tell you,
and you're
Booster.
like,
if Booster was
yuck.
in the Silver Age DC, he would have fit right in. He
Yeah.
would have been like totally fine.
But he wouldn't have been.
I don't
Booster
know
then.
about that. For some reason, I just see it
Yeah.
a different way. I
He's
guess
still
it's
been
a
goofy,
strange
though. Yeah.
perspective I have.
But yeah,
I don't
I think
know
you
if I
just-
can justify it.
You haven't spent enough time with them, is what it is.
Yeah, probably.
Because I mean,
I still can't get over Supergirl not being from Krypton. That's still blowing my mind.
She's still from Kandor, I thought.
No, she wasn't from Kandor. Gosh, I'm having a senior moment right now. It was a portion of Krypton when it exploded that had survived the explosion, and she was from there. And I, should know that like my name, but I right now am having a mental.
but landed after Clark, even though she's older.
Our first appearance, though, was in Superboy number 5 from November 1949. That is.
There was, believe it or not, there was an earlier Supergirl that was a magical creation by Jimmy Olsen, who had 3 wishes, and he had do you know that story?
That's what I'd
Her
wish for.
costume was orange and green.
Oh, boy.
Instead of blue. And she was he got 3 wishes, and one of his wishes that there would be the Supergirl.
it is.
and
It's Krypton. I don't even know what I was thinking.
Yeah, she'd been one of my 3.
It was like the other guy was from the other planet.
what's the part of the Krypton, this community that was a capital, not a capital
it's
city.
Argo
but-
City.
Argo City, yeah.
Yeah.
It was under a dome. Gosh, I just am embarrassed that I couldn't remember that. I read, hundreds of those
What do you think the
stories.
connective tissue between Supergirl and Superman will be in the movies? That'll be interesting.
Well, between the movies,
Because
A whole Kryptonian
Yeah, because he's always supposed to be the last man of a dying planet.
So, but will we see like it when it's thriving and whatnot?
no, I don't think so. Talking about Krypton?
Well, I mean, like backflashes and
Oh,
flashbacks.
maybe. I mean, because Supergirl, that picks up obviously with her already post
yeah.
destruction and all that. I mean,
I was
she's
thinking to do
she's
a-
thinking of it as a memory.
They could do a Godfather 2 version though, where they her story concurrently with her forebear story on Krypton.
Well, and we also don't know. We have no idea how the other things are going to interact. For all we know, we could have a Lanterns episode where they
Lanterns
show
show
up
up.
and see.
Like fragments of a
Right.
planet.
wow, I'm still thinking of them as in a RV traveling around. I'm not seeing them in space.
Huge.
Not that it couldn't be that, but I just don't. I didn't anticipate that.
There's like 2,500 sectors that they're covering, and yeah, it's a lot of space.
Well,
We're gonna have enough on Earth. I think we can explore the cosmos.
I'm
I'm
with
thinking
you.
budget too.
Get Adam
I hope
Strange
I
with a
hope
budget.
they keep it somewhat localized to whatever planet they're on. 'Cause what I don't want to be is a show where 5 times an episode they're like Sector 211, blah blah blah, and like a bunch of text on the bottom, and you show some big building, and it's like
Every
where are they
planet
at
just
now?
looks like a different version of
Yeah.
Okay, here's-
somewhere on Earth.
Aren't there 3,000 sectors, by the way?
3,000.
I think there is.
I'll defer to you. You're probably right.
2814's ours.
2814 is ours. Earth sector. Matt, question: if they're throwing out some of the continuity but keeping others, do you think that they will keep as their big bad the version of Darkseid that we have? How can you change that? Darkseid can't be changed. Darkseid is.
Darkseid is. So
Darkseid is.
it doesn't matter. He'll just look the same. But I don't think we're going to see anything from the Snyderverse. It's going to go on. I mean, even Jason Momoa, who is supposedly going to end up as Lobo, we don't know yet. But he's not going to be Aquaman going forward.
No. Do you think they'll keep John Cena as Peacemaker?
I do believe that. And then because they've already said they're keeping
The Gunn mythology, right?
Waller of.
Oh yeah, they're keeping Viola Davis.
Yes.
She's great.
I want she's awesome.
What a fantastic actress.
I'm going to guess he's going to keep his wife as well.
Probably a safe move. Keep it nice at home. I don't know that I'm interested in how he's gonna what gets thrown out and what doesn't and how it's explained.
I don't care. I want a Granny Goodness.
I want Granny Goodness.
I want Mr. Miracle
and
Big Barda.
Big Barda.
Big
I
Barda.
want some Big Barda. And I want her to be 9 feet tall
Oh my God, yes.
and amazing
I
and
want
a warrior.
Scott free.
Oberon.
Dude, I'm so hopeful for this, honestly. Like I'm getting
I think the future's bright. And these are not everything. They have more coming.
Yes,
These are
this-
just what he's
these are just
announced,
what
but
they've
there will be
announced.
more as they go.
Did we hit them all?
I think we've hit them all.
But he did allude to a couple really big ones that he couldn't announce yet.
Okay.
Which is probably the Lobo and
I would be surprised if Zatanna was not actually going to be announced.
yeah.
It's such a top heavy fan favorite.
Did the Keanu Constantine movie get thrown out?
It's not been front loaded. You know what I mean? And no, not officially, but I cannot imagine that's going forward.
No, I was fine with you saying top heavy. That's fine.
Are we talking about
She is a
Big
top
Barda
heavy.
again?
She is a top heavy fan favorite after all.
No, it's a way. No, I'm saying it's a way to get goodwill early on.
Yes.
You just announce it today, and it's like, oh, great, they're doing Zatanna finally. It's what we all wanted.
loaded. You know what I meant.
You did, and you do. You're being churlish. I didn't know that we were having a churlish section of the podcast.
But I asked you earlier, will she be wearing the tights all the time?
She has to at least once.
How does she? Well, yeah, at least one. I'm saying all the time.
No,
though.
no, I don't think it would be all the time.
Okay, because that.
I think it'll be like leather pants at some point.
I
but-
can see leather pants.
Yeah, but at some point she will have. I think she'll have the classic.
Do you think she'll have the top hat on all the time?
Yes. Oh,
All the
All the
time?
time? No, but she should.
There's got to be a spell to keep it on there, right?
Yeah.
It could
That's
be
the
like
way around that.
it could be like Indiana Jones's hat.
I like her with
Yeah.
a headband.
She could rock a
That's the
headband.
version I like.
There's so many ways to do Zatanna. I don't know her Bronze Age outfit. I love it. I don't ever want to see it on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the early Psylocke outfit. Like I like it for reasons, but I don't want to ever see it on screen.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you.
No, I'm excited. All these things have me. He lost me a little bit as he did with everybody with losing Cavill, who was so amazing. But
Yes, that's a hard choice.
I mean,
I'll never get sick of seeing these characters in any incarnation.
no.
So long as it's not another CW show.
I don't think I've ever.
Hey, wait a minute. You know I like the
yeah,
CW.
that's right. Sorry.
We should have you on here where you educate all of us on all of that at some point, Rick.
Because you talk to me about it every week, and I don't watch any of it.
I really like Superman and Lois. I thought Stargirl was fantastic.
Stargirl was
was.
good. I watched 7 seasons of Arrow though, and that was meeting it way more than halfway. So
Oh, I loved Arrow and Flash. I mean, I guess it's because of the
I like the
time I
first
grew
few
up with
seasons
those
of Flash.
characters.
but Supergirl was asking way too much of me than I could give.
Oh, Melissa Benoist.
Oh, she was
incredible.
great.
The writers on that show did not appeal to me, and
Do you think that show had writers?
I would have been there.
It just manifested itself into being.
Prime target. and it didn't hit with me.
and I don't want to be mean or anything, but the smartest thing they could do is just get Greg Berlanti as far away from these properties as possible.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
I mean, I watched out of loyalty to Melissa. I didn't watch because I liked the show.
She was great.
So out of all the characters we've talked about today, which is the one you want to see the most not listed?
not listed.
Not listed.
Not listed.
I can, for my part, I will confidently say 3, and I'm not just saying these because they're whatever. I think Metamorpho would be an amazing character on screen.
yes.
Plastic Man would be
of
an
course.
amazing. He would have he should be his own movie. And then I'm gonna throw it out there. Green Arrow.
Okay.
Green Arrow is one of my number 3 all time.
Old Green Arrow or young Green
Old.
Arrow? Old and
Green
embittered.
Not embittered, but jaded. But he's still out there,
Jaded.
and he's
Hot
still
Green Arrow. I love
and
that.
he's still.
Good
Thank
pun.
you, thank you.
What about you, Rick?
I'm going to say something that's going to surprise a lot of people. The Metal Men. I
Oh.
would love to see the
Okay,
Metal Men.
okay.
That is a
Today's
great
technology, that would be so easy for them to do and just full of story possibilities. I want to see them fight the Gas Gang and the Missile Men and all those different things.
That is a great pick.
And I would like to see, of course, the Legion of Superheroes maybe animated again. They did a pretty good job when they did it before, but I would like to see it, a little more adult. And let me see. There's another one. I'll have to think on it for a second. It slipped my mind. What about you, Craig?
Holy cow. I mean, we kind of already talked about him. I mean, I've been waiting for Zatanna.
Yep.
For a
Zatanna,
long
yeah.
time,
Yep.
honestly. And then I want to see. I think some of these aren't like brand new characters. I just want to see the version I want to see. Like I haven't seen a Dinah yet, like a Black Canary that I've liked.
She'd be up there.
Right.
Yeah,
But I
that'd
mean,
be
so that
good.
And so would Yara Flor. She's
Oh
right.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yara.
That I
think my
really
problem
want to
with-
see on screen.
My problem with Yara, and I think the way they're going to take this, so they announced I'll segue into this as well. So they announced not only these movies, but basically the source material. And the next day on Amazon, they had sold out, and they were the top books.
Which one? Like all of these?
Yeah,
shows?
Supergirl, Woman of
Supergirl.
Tomorrow, the Grant Morrison.
got it.
So, I mean, that's what happens with these books, folks. Like,
Yeah, we sold.
they announce
We
it.
sold like 3 Damian Wayne first appearances in one day.
Yeah. So
I'll tell you, if they really want to succeed, I'll tell you what character they need to put in there. Monkey Prince.
Flashback, yeah.
We were all thinking it.
So where I was going with that with
Anyway.
Yara is, unfortunately, the way that things have gone, even if they announce her, there's only like 10 books you can buy.
yeah, it just doesn't have a.
So it's the 2 Future State books. You've got her 7 that she did in Wonder Girl, but she got an annual, just how it worked out,
Yeah.
I think, as well. And then the stuff she did in Trial of the Amazons.
yeah, which is another great
Yep.
little run.
So,
And then now I think she's going to pop up in Lazarus Planet, but yeah, there's only a finite amount.
so I think characters like Monkey Prince
They're gonna
and
wait
Yara,
until
they're
there's
going to
some
wait until there's probably some books they
history,
can sell.
yeah.
And I mean, from a smart business perspective, that's what I would do. Because be like, hey, everybody, here's a hot character. And they're like,
What?
okay, I've read one arc. Cool.
Can
But
I-
the advantage they have with making shows like that is they can create stuff,
That's
material
true.
that's not there as well.
push,
So I'm kind of
interest.
torn on those.
Push fan interest.
But then we're just talking about Yara Floor fan fiction at that point because there's no source. So
Can I kind of take a left turn here?
Yeah.
What characters have you seen recently or in the last few years that you think they've done well? And unfortunately, because they've done them well, we won't see them in films probably, but have been neat interpretations of maybe minor characters that you think it's cool that they're out there. I'm thinking Hawk and Dove from Titans. I think
Oh,
they're
yeah.
doing them fantastic.
I could think of 2. I think Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate
Yes.
is about the best it could possibly be.
Yes.
Still the movie, I think, and I really like that movie. And then might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Journey Smollett
yeah,
nailed Black Canary the character.
Do you think any James Bond actor can play?
As a
Dr.
matter
Fate?
of fact, I think any James Bond character could play Dr. Fate and
Yeah?
nail it. Not just because they played Bond, but because of
Even if they're blonde?
I think even so.
I think
But
so,
I think if you at home would just picture to yourself Sean Connery or George
Oh.
Lazenby,
Yes, yes.
Timothy Dalton, Dr. Fate, I think we'd all be
Roger Moore?
a Roger Moore. I'd be like, give me Roger Moore.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So
Pierce Brosnan.
it got me thinking
maybe?
about the business side of things as far as selling books.
I think you should be thinking about that.
We're getting not in that regard. I'm thinking more of like the dawn of DC stuff.
Oh yeah, the
So
new
if
new
they're
epic.
talking, right? So we're getting a brand new Doom Patrol book. Mm-hmm. We're
Oh, yeah.
getting a brand new Superman. John's got his own book. Green Lantern, Hal's coming back as far as the
Arrow.
Green Arrow's coming back.
Green Arrow's coming back. And I think they would be stupid not to take advantage of the fact that they're going to have people looking at those characters
Oh yeah,
already.
Yeah,
Right? And
It's a big event.
And then also give them opportunities to turn watchers into possible readers and vice versa.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that goes
Be a synergistic.
anybody's going to watch those films. People are forced to watch films they don't want to watch all the time, but you basically don't. You don't force people to read books because it's an individual thing.
Yeah.
But
this
getting
could spark,
watchers,
this
turning
could
them
spark
into
that interest,
into
one
readers
imagines,
is the way that you have to go.
So if somebody sees the Green Lantern show, they're going to want to go and
Read the books
then
find
realize
out
there's a long, rich history. Now there's new Green Lanterns, there's old Green Lanterns.
for sure.
I'm still being thrown by the fact that you picked Plastic Man over Elongated Man.
I love Elongated Man, but Patrick Eel O'Brien, I think there's more stories to tell there.
Didn't he only come to existence because they forgot they already had
The
Plastic
Elongated Man, yeah.
and they did him pretty well on
They
Flash.
did not
the
realize that
CW
they
show.
owned Quality Comics. So yeah, yeah, he was on the CW show. But
That's another good thing they did.
Patrick O'Brien, not the wonderful novelist, but the thief who becomes gets superpowered and becomes a superhero, and just an overpowered one too. Plastic Man does not get the respect that he deserves as how powerful he is a hero. So
I also was thinking, you're not happy with Greg Berlanti's CW shows, but the Huntress,
it's only
he
because
did the
they're not
Huntress
good.
very well, and on Arrow they had some of the greatest motorcycle stunts ever done on television. What could be better for Black Canary? Because
That's true.
her mode of transportation.
That's true.
I think that he would be able to do a great Black Canary. Oh well, just a thought.
no, yeah.
But we'll see. I mean,
We'll
this
see.
is completely open ended. That's why it's been an exciting week for me.
It is indeed the dawn of DC.
The dawn of DC.
It's the rebirth.
I think we're getting ready to wrap things up here. Does anybody have any final thoughts on anything with the universe, like, as far as the things that we're?
I want to see Darkseid. I want to see Scott Free.
Absolutely. I don't want to see Barda.
Yes.
Can all happen. I mean, it's about time DC gets their shit together. They've got an extra however many years of characters and
They got a deeper
success.
bench.
They
Let's
got
just-
a
got
way
deeper
deep bench. Let's take advantage. Let's get that kicker out there.
I'm excited and I'm optimistic.
23 years they have on Stan Lee's Marvel. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's 23 years of stories and ideas that are not being mined.
Absolutely. So this is the point where we will tell you again, you can, if you do not have a comic book store, we can be your comic book store. Hit us up at www.thercade.com. That is thearcade.com. We sell our T-shirts that have our podcast logo on there. New comics, wall books, CGC, all of that stuff. We are The Arcade Comics and Collectibles on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. On our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. And hit the bell so that you know when we put out new material. Every little bit helps, and every time you do that, it helps other people find us on there as far as coming across the podcast and whatnot. And we will see you soon. Matt, do your thing.
Do my thing. Please support your local comic book stores, guys. They are not doing as well as you think they are. And next week, next Monday, we will have Jeremy McFerrin, the man, on the podcast. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good one.